All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Um, so I actually had another idea for a video until yesterday afternoon. I was working on a client site and I was really digging into my font choices because I also got to design create the logo, and I'm kind of working on the brand for a friend of mine, which is all going well. And I was working on some fonts, and I'm using Google Fonts just because he's starting out. He's strapped on a budget, and not to discount commercial fonts and licensing because they're absolutely worth it. Fonts are a huge part of your branding. Um, but I was trying to find some free alternatives that were good that he could work with for his brand, at least in the beginning. Um, while starting out on a new business, we're always strapped for cash. Um, anyway, to get past all that, it led me down this road of variable fonts. And I've worked on a couple of sites using variable fonts and just bare CSS, and it can be a little. I mean, let's be honest. It's not crazy hard to implement your own fonts and do your own, font face styling or pulling in the fonts via your own CSS and all that kind of stuff. But GeneratePress has, created this font library edition that makes things a good deal easier. And on this site, I'm still using the old-fashioned method of just going to the customizer and pulling in the Google Fonts. But we're going to work with this a little bit, and I'm going to show you some little nuggets that I found that make things easier and also give us some more flexibility. Uh, Man, this edition has been really wonderful as far as cutting back on some of that tedium. Is that a word? The tedious aspect of adding my fonts and having to do them manually when I wanted to go that step beyond of just picking a plain old Google font. So let's jazz this up a little bit. We're going to work on some of my or implementing some of my favorite Google fonts. And first of all, Google Fonts has grown exponentially. I mean, there's so much on here that it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for. But I've started kind of uh, making a list of my favorites and the things I like to use over and over again. And naturally, Franklin Gothic or Libre Franklin is one of my favorites. It is a variable font. All these Libres, Bedoni, Baskerville, Caslon, wonderful, wonderful. And if we go to the type tester, you can see variable in action. So we get this range of weights, and you can really fine tune it. I mean, 228, good grief. But, you can get lost in the weeds trying to figure out exactly what you want. Now, if you're hardcore typography, I mean, absolutely. You can really do this in a custom way to fine tune it to be exactly what you want it to be. But I'm simply going to show you what I discovered using the font library. So, sorry, I'm going to stop rambling and let's look up Newsreader. This is one of my new favorites. It is a wonderful old style Roman that comes in optical sizes. And this is one of the things that I've come to really, really love. So I think you can see it better in the tester. Optical sizing means that it's going to scale the weight of the thicks and the thins, the contrast in the font, based on how big or small it is. So if I were to, well, this for example, it's fairly clear, it's small, but this for example, if I were to make it bigger, you can see how, maybe you can see how the thicks and the thins, it has a nice contrast. It's not Yeah, there you go. You can see the difference. So this is just, I guess you'd call it the text weight. It is the well, what would you call it? I guess the thicks and the thins are standard, default, whatever you want to call it. So like, you don't get any difference. And not only are the thicks and thins going to change, but the X height. You can see that the bigger the font. So generally, the bigger the font, the slightly narrower it will become, and the X height will get bigger, and that is just the height of the lowercase, or the letter X, lowercase x. So you can see the clear difference. This is optical sizing on and off. So essentially, the designers have built in the drawing of the font based on the sizes, and we want to take advantage of that. So I'm going to add first. We're gonna do this out of the gate. We're gonna just do this the plain old default way. Let's look up Newsreader. Reader. Oh, it would help if I spell it right. Okay, so let's add this weight and do the normal weight, and we'll do the bold weight. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's go back to our font library. One variant. Okay, so it recognizes that this is a variable font. Okay, that's cool. Let's this is a serif fallback, and we're gonna call this old style serif, or we'll just serif. Nope, my OCD, I can't help it. Old style serif. Okay, and we're gonna save. That's the variable name. So if you guys haven't played with this, you can GeneratePress is going to reference this via CSS custom properties or CSS variables, and you can give it a custom variable name that will be referenced by. So if once you start assigning this font in the customizer or anywhere else, as long as you use this as the reference to the font family name in your CSS, you can change this font out, and this variable will, or property, whatever you want to call it, will update accordingly throughout the site. So nice. Yes, very nice. So let's go to the customizer and let's apply this font and let's see what happens. So as you can see over here, we have the optical sizing, and I would like to implement that. So we're going to look at the fonts and let's go to typography. And yeah, there's Newsreader. So these are just incorporated the old-fashioned way. I search for the font name and GeneratePress sucks it in from the Google Fonts API. So let's assign it here. Yeah, bold's good. Okay, and let's do it to the heading level 2. But let's assign it. Okay, maybe 400. Okay, but it doesn't look like it's the we're not taking advantage of the optical styling. So we should be getting something like, let's see, what is that was 700. Yeah, we should be getting something like that, but ours is kind of clunky or chunky or whatever you want to say. Here we have better contrast in the thicks and the thins. It looks more like a display font, very editorial. And here we're just not really getting that. So let's look at this. Let's view the source and let's go to fonts. Here we go. Okay. This is what GeneratePress is pulling in for us. Okay, it's pulling in the WAF 2. That is the format, and that's the one we want. It's super compressed. You get a smaller file size out of it, and it's giving us weights 200 through 800. But it's a variable font, so we get one font. If this were a static font or not variable, you'd be given 200, 300, 400, and this would be repeated all the way down the page, or you get multiples of these. But in this instance, we're only pulling in one font. Okay, that's great, but it doesn't look like we're getting the optical sizing. So let's look at, if I were to do feature settings, I think this is right. Oh, what is the, I can't remember it. This is font feature settings, optical sizes. And of course, Bing pulls up. Bing is not that bad. I haven't set it to Google. I just haven't done that. Okay, that is actually, I need to check that, but I think it's already on or enabled, and I'll show you that later. Here we go. So it's actually font variation settings. OPSZ. Okay, where am I? What is this called? Font variation settings. Okay, so let's see. Font variation settings. 96. I think we could do. Yeah, okay, but it's not taking hold. It's not happening. Okay. So you might be thinking, okay, GeneratePress just doesn't support that. Okay, so I need to do it manually. Well, that's what I thought, but I did a little tinkering, and I think we can. No, I know we can. I know we can. We can do better than this. So here's what I did. I thought, well, maybe I don't have to get it. Actually, I tried downloading it first and then uploading it because I thought maybe it would give me a different file. Same thing happened. But you can go to About, and you can go to the GitHub page where they're doing development. So let's open this up, and let's look at fonts. And here we see there are static ones in different formats. And WAF2 is the web version we want. TTF or true types. Those would be, I guess, good for print. Went back too far. Let's look at the variable. Let's go to WAF2. All right, now here we go. So here we get Newsreader italic, and we get Newsreader, regular, Roman, whatever you want to call it. So let's click that. We don't want to view it raw, but we want to download the raw file. All right, so that's now on my computer. So let's go back here. Let's ditch that. It's gonna delete the whole thing. That's okay. And let's upload this one. Okay, let's go back over here. Okay, looks the same. 23800 variable. Let's want to call it bold style serif. Is that what I did? I think so. So it should pick right up where this one had left off. And look at there. Now we're getting the optical sizing. So now we're in business. Okay, so let's look at, let me try the font. Now, this is why I say that I think the optical sizing is already enabled. And again, I haven't looked through this. I guess you could open that, open a new tab. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. But anyway, I don't know if it's enabled in the browser by default, but we can go and put that in if we choose to do so, just to be safe. And you would assign it to like the HTML element or the body element. What was that? CSS. Oh, I hate the news thing. Not working. Optical sizing. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so auto. Or let me search one more time. This is why my videos are so long, because I noodle around with this stuff and we don't really get anywhere. So we got the block library, CSS. First of all, it's not. There's main. Okay. So it's not in there. It could just be that it's part of. That's dynamic. Okay, so maybe it's just browsers now treat it that way by default. It's enabled. So yeah, and this is really what I wanted to show you. I'm going to show you one more thing that kind of tripped me up with a font I was wanting to use, but I couldn't get to the italic of that font. And this was the text font that I wanted to use. And I always feel like you need, in your text fonts anyway, you need a regular, you need an italic, and you need a bold for emphasis of some kind, and maybe bold italic in some rare cases. But I'll omit it oftentimes just to keep it lean, because every font you include, even within the same family, except for variable fonts, it adds to the weight of the page. But just to show you, let's reload this and let's see what fonts load. I think I haven't said, yeah, fonts. Okay, so you got Newsreader. Whoop. Okay, which is 215 kilobytes. So, but you have to remember that this is a variable font, so it actually contains the weights 200 through 800. So it may be more efficient if I know I'm only going to use one or two weights of a specific size, that you could also go back to the static versions, go to the WAF 2. Okay, so this may be kind of limited. So here we have the 72 point cuts of it, because they used to, cut punches. So oftentimes they'll still call optical sizes cuts of a font. We have a 6 point, gosh, which is really small. We have a 16 point, which is sort of display, bigger, and then 72 point, which is pretty big. So this would be a finer cut. It would have more detail, more thick and thin, contrast, bigger X height, that kind of thing. So you could do it this way and maybe get like, well, let's see, for example, what the font size would be. We'll look at regular. Let's see, it should be my download folder. So there is the variable font. It's 210 kilobytes. Here is the single font. It is 46 kilobytes. So you kind of have to use your best judgment as far as what your needs are for the site and how many weights you'll think you'll need. If you're going to need two or three, maybe, may not be. That would be the way to go. You could use two weights at 46, but that's 80, 92 kilobytes versus 210 kilobytes. So use your best judgment. I'm kind of conservative when it comes to that stuff. I want the site to load fast and be performant. But so you have some options. But okay, here's the other thing. So one of my favorite fonts is, I'm not even going to load it this way, is Commissioner. There it is. I think it is a lovely, more humanist sans serif. It reads really well. It's great at large sizes even. Yeah, it just looks good. Great cut, very professional looking, polished. Reads really well, but there's no italic. But if you go over to the type tester, you actually do get this slant option in the variable settings. So now, and you can see the settings here, the slant -12. Now you get an oblique kind of. It's not really an italic, but it still could be used for emphasis along with my regular weight and my bold weight. They also have this flare setting, which is kind of cool. It really changes the character of the font. So if I bump this up, just keep on going. Can I just, let's make it big, big, big. This flare, look, it adds a nice tapering. You can really see it in the bolder weights. That's really kind of nice. Actually, bet that works well for, it might work better in print, although screens are getting really high resolution. It seems like this would be an effective cut, we'll say, for text, reading text, long passages of text. But yeah, I just wanted the regular cut for my text, but I want the italic too. Well, if I pull it in this way, it's not going to give me the italics. No italics. So again, I decided to go to About and go over to the GitHub repository, and let's take a look. So here's the fonts folder. And again, we have the variable font, but we only have true types. Now these are going to be a little bit bigger in file size. They're not the compressed versions like WAF fonts. You get open type web fonts, which I think I tested these and they're a bit bigger as well. Now these are not variable, but they give you, I think loud is just display sizes. I can't remember. But I found these and I was like, great, this is just what I need. They're not variable fonts, but I just want this for the text. So I want the bold weight. Let's download that. I want the italic, which that should be the regular italic. Oh, it says it's 73 kilobytes. I wonder if that is what my final size will be. And then I want the regular. There it is. Okay. Let's take a peek at those real quick. What is the Commissioner? Okay, they are a bit bigger. That is interesting. They're WAF too as well. Okay. Well, that is what I want to use. So we'll just make the most of it. So I'm going to upload these. Let's see, all these Commissioner. Yep. Okay, open. And if I go back over here, now I have italic, I have regular, I have italic, and I have bold. So let's see. So this is sans serif. Let's call this Humanist Sans. Save that. Go back to my customizer. Do I have any italics specified? Yeah, I guess this is the block quote. So let's go back to my fonts page and look at typography. And now for the body, I'm going to change Franklin to Commissioner. Ooh, yes, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, it needs to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to bump up this to 19 and 20. Okay, and see how it scales the whole thing. And this is something else I'm always tinkering with. I know that the scale, what do they call them? The different typography scales or whatever are all the rage right now. I have not fully wrapped my head around them. I'm still exploring that. I'd love to do a video on it. I've even read, oh gosh, it's been years. What is it? Robert Bringhurst's The Elements of Typographic Style. And that was one of the first places where I read about typographic scale, doing it in like major thirds or minor fourths or whatever it is. It sounds like musical notation, which I think is lovely and it makes complete sense. But it's something I need to dig deeper into. So for now, I will probably come over here and let's up this. Whoa, that's gonna make it big. Just fiddle with this. That may not give me what I want. That did a little bit. So I'll publish that. Let's see what it does over here because it's a bit bigger. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that a lot. So anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. I discovered this last night when I was, trying to set up the fonts for my buddy's website. And I love the use of the display cuts that have more contrast and the bigger X heights, and they look like they're meant for being used really, really big. And I got to use Commissioner with an italic, which, yeah, down here. So I'm digging that. So if that comes in handy, it really opened things up for me that I wasn't strictly limited to what was available on the Google font site, that I could go to where they're actually working on these fonts and still use these awesome font files. Let's see what the page load looks like now. Let's see, network. Okay, yeah, that's not too terribly bad. We're still getting, that 215 kilobytes. That's a little much. So I might consider, like, if this were production or I were doing this for a client, I might consider just ditching the variable font and using the cuts. And I think there's a way even to take the variable font and set it to what you want and then extract somehow, some way, the static version from that variable font that has the specific settings that you want it to have. So anyway, I'm going to stop there, keep it shy of 30 minutes, and I hope you guys enjoyed this and find it helpful. Please like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And I'll do what I planned for today previously before I came across this next week. Yeah, I think I will, unless something else comes up. But anyway, guys, have a great weekend, great next week, and I'll see you soon.